to the whole mindset. I mean, I can't imagine all the negativity surrounding you and telling you can't do it. And then you having to pull yourself up and say, no, you watch me. But then when you were saying watch me, and there's like that moment, that aha moment that you have, and it may be a subtle one too, because sometimes you're just kind of going in the motions. But what is it that flipped the switch for you and said, you know what, I'm not going to let this negativity that's already brought me down bring me down anymore? You said you had a shift in mindset and you had to change it. What were some tangible ways that you changed that mindset?
So some tangible ways, I think that's just like, I mean, and I have like little like statements of inspiration from coaches and stuff like that written all over. And like a lot of it is like just affirmations like, I am making this work and I have to do hard things to get to where I want to go. And I used to believe competition is bad, but now I believe it's empowering. And it means that there's a lot of people changing the world for the better too. And so I think one of the things that was like the major flip was I had a good friend who believed in me so much. And he just like, I mean, would just say that I was like the most inspiring person. And I think this sounds so conceited, sorry, but like was just saying really, really, really encouraging things. And I completely believed in me and used this quote. It's probably attributed to somebody, I'm just not sure who, but we live in cages with open doors. We just need to walk out of the cage. And a lot of times we think that there's a reason we can't do something or it's too risky, but really the cage door is open. Just walk out and go get at life, you know? So I think that's what like this stuff was. And I don't know if that's like tangible, but it's honestly, you know, a lot of people like at parties and stuff, but I'd be like, Haley, this is just so cool. Like, I wish I could do what you do. Wish I could start a business and have moved to India. And I just don't even think about it as like being that amazing, because it's like Nike says, just do it. Right. I mean, I know that's simple, and maybe it's easier for me because I am risk tolerant, but if you want to do something, you literally just do it. Like you think about what you want to do, plan to do it, and you do it. You just take action. And if it looks messy, if it's imperfect, that's fine. You're doing something. Just like when people are like training for a 5K and they're like, I'm running slowly. Well, you're lapping everybody on the couch, you know, like it's better than like thinking about doing it. And then it's all just like this theoretical thing or this concept. You'd like to run a marathon. You'd like to run a 5K. You'd like to start a business, move abroad and change the world. You have to take the first few steps, just like literally do it and get people to support you, find a coach or a mentor or whatever, and just keep going. Like, don't stay in the same spot. Like keep doing that something that's hard and makes you uncomfortable.
I completely agree. And I think a lot of it boils down to personality also. Yeah, like you said, you're less risk averse, but even if you are hyper, you can't tolerate risk. Like you just are not like, let me embrace you risk. I feel like, in my opinion, also the best way to do something or your dreams or whatever those small little secret desires you might have is to take that first step. You don't have to take that giant leap across the water, but you can definitely take small baby steps that give you more courage, that give you more confidence as you move forward. If you can't vote for yourself, nobody in the world should be voting for you, essentially. And so it's like, if you're running for something and you can't vote for yourself, please step out of that run. Like, please don't be a part of that. Now, the business that you've started, what were some of the hiccups that you had in the beginning? And whether it was your own personal hiccups or actual hiccups, and then how did you overcome them?
Yeah. So some of those would be, so sales, like I thought fundraising and sales would be interchangeable. They aren't. And sales is just a whole other thing. And nobody honestly, you don't know what you don't know, you know? And so like I had gone off and done the India thing and raised money, but sales is totally different. And nobody told me that when you start a business, you are automatically in sales. Like you are a salesperson. If you're an entrepreneur, you're in sales. Nobody told me. I didn't know. Somebody even asked me, like a male mentor was like, well, do you know what the sales cycle looks like? And I was like, the sales cycle? What's that? I didn't know. And so I still didn't really understand. I was like, what? I still didn't really understand.
Yeah.
So I started my business and I'm like, where's the money? Like I thought everybody was just going to like want team building and development and leadership and culture and all this. And it was just harder to sell than I thought. So that was only a hiccup of like, what do I do here? Like, why aren't people buying? And it was so like the sales cycle was so slow. And so now I'm realizing like, oh, this is why wasn't working a process. Because I was like, I'm so well networked, I'll be fine. But I was doing one thing and then I was doing something completely new with my business. So that was a big hiccup. And then I didn't really have I wanted to customize everything for all of my clients because that's what like the organizational development process taught me. But I think that that doesn't translate to selling to an external client. It translates fine if you're an internal OD or OE, organizational effectiveness consultant, like inside of a big company. Then it makes more sense. When you're an external person like me, I have to sell them on something, and a confused mind doesn't buy. I learned that from my coach. Like when you present somebody a customized package or a very ambiguous package or something, they don't want to buy because they don't know what you're getting. And I'm like, well, I don't know what I'm doing because I haven't done a needs assessment and all these surveys and stuff. And so I had to decide, like, I've got to figure out a process that I can customize internally, but from the beginning, I can say, here is at least my process with options. And that has gone a lot better. And then I think I was trying to do a lot of things that weren't life-giving to me. And it is not sustainable. Like, I'm an Enneagram 7 and ESFP, and we don't like doing arbitrary crap. And to me, I don't like spinning my wheels. I don't like, it's like a gambling thing. I don't want to gamble because it's not a sure thing. I'd rather work hard. And then it's like, who said this? The harder you work, the luckier you get. I don't remember. It was like Warren Buffett or something, maybe.
Yeah.
But it's so true.
I think you're right. Yeah.
Yeah. He has a lot of good ones. Yeah. And so that was something where I was like, I don't like just spinning my wheels. And so I ended up trying to make it a lot more clear and try to have more things set up for success. And that's why this group coaching program is so life-giving for me, because I'm working with people who want to be there. They're signed up. They come to a call once a week, an individual call every month. And it's just so rewarding for me to be able to train and coach in those ways, and just have people who I know actually want to get better at leadership skills. They want to be better managers. And instead of just selling all the time. And selling is not bad. Selling's helping. I love all of that. But to actually do the client work is what's life-giving,
Yes. Yes. Sometimes even in my own business, I'm just like, gosh, am I a lawyer or am I a salesperson? Or am I somebody who's trying to just manage all the time? Like, what am I doing? And it can get frustrating when you're running your show and you feel like you have studied to be one thing and that was your whole goal for the business, but then you have to do all these other things. And so it's so nice to have a coach like you or somebody else who can actually help the owner or the visionary of the business actually implement and execute. What were some legal issues that you've had, or some things that you're just kind of like, God, I wish I'd taken care of that beforehand, or you'd already implemented it to avoid issues?
Well, so I remember thinking that I'd have to trademark my logo and my company name. And then I ended up going to a university law school, a kind of a thing where it's a round table of law students who help you out. And so I don't remember how I ended up getting connected with that, but I sat down with them and the law professor, and they were like, that's not really something you want to invest in right now. You want to get your doing business as thing and make sure you get the LLC and figure out what you're going to do about taxes. So taxes is always a thing, and it's tax season now. So it's stressful. And so, and then contracts, knowing if my contract is even valid, how do you know if a contract is valid? What's fair to put in there? These are just things no one teaches you unless you go to law school. So that's such a wonderful, unique skill you have to be able to offer that to people, because people just don't know those things. And I think with my contracts and any other form, how do you make sure that stuff is keeping you safe? And do you need general business insurance or do you not? And so those are things where everybody says something different. I felt like I would ask some people and they'd be like, you have to do ABC. And others were like, ABC doesn't matter. XYZ matters. And so it was just so confusing, because it was one of those things where nobody's giving you consistent advice or counsel. So I wish that that's something that I would have known more about.
So what are some of your top tips to any business owner on how to create a environment that is conducive to good leadership, but also to good employees and a thriving business?
Oh, There's so many, but so I'll probably boil it down to just a few. So one would be like, it's such a cliche, but manage by walking around. Get to know all of your employees. You know, I worked with an organization, The Toxic Place, where CEO is a great person, but I remember like talking with him in the break room and he looked at me like he had never seen me before. And this was like a 55-person organization, not large. And like, I remember asking like, has vacation to Cancun or whatever? Great person again. But he was just like, he almost looked at me like, why are you talking to me? And it was kind of like, that was just hurtful. Like, I think I'm really affected by people's facial expressions anyway. So that was something where it's like, you don't even know us. And that's on you. You're the leader here. Walk around. Don't just talk to vice presidents, talk to everybody. So get to know people, manage by walking around. So like if you walk up to somebody's cube or office or ask for a Zoom call, and they should not get that fearful like stomach drop thing of like, oh my God, what is it going to be about? Am I getting fired? Am I in trouble? No. To be able to reach out, somebody should be like, oh, it's just normal for my CEO or my leader or whatever to reach out to me. It's normal. It's good. That means they care. They just want to learn about what I'm doing. So that, get to know people's personality assessments. Use something consistently. Don't do it as a one and done and never talk about it again. Know yourself and have self-awareness around it. Communicate it with people on your team and understand theirs and understand how they work with each other. Then maximize people based on their strengths and their drives, what drives them in the workplace. If you're not doing that, like, so if somebody put me in front of a computer all day, like I remember applying for a job somewhere, good company and everything, but the position I applied for was some like marketing communication low level thing. And they knew how to polarize the candidate, because I remember them in my second or third interview say like, hey, so we like really love you. You'd be a good fit on the team and everything. But how would you feel being chained to a computer all day? Because it was like a lot of just like editing and writing and emailing and Excel spreadsheets. And I was like, ooh, I honestly know I can't do that. I know myself well enough to know I would hate it. I would hate it. And I'm not going to last here if I do that. So like, know yourself, know your people, and know that like you don't put the Haleys of the world working in a database all day or on an Excel spreadsheet all day. Like, I need to be out there talking with new people, doing presentations, doing something innovative and changing it up. And once in a while, yes, I have to implement ideas that are more complicated into a spreadsheet or get organized in a database. Yes. But overall, you want to like see like Haley's strengths are woo and communication and connectedness and things like that. So like, go let her relate to people. And then people who are the opposite of that, why would you put somebody who loves systems and processes and math out in front of groups to do public speaking, you know? So know how to leverage your people's strengths. And then psychological safety is something I already talked about, but it is honestly like the number one most important tool to use to have on your team for a high performing team. So like Google did this huge study called Project Aristotle, and they looked at like tens of thousands of their employees and looked at which are the highest performing teams. So like lowest turnover and highest revenue results and most innovative ideas, et cetera, whatever they qualified high performing as. And they found that 5 major factors were the key contributors to their success. And the number one, far and away, more than the others, was psychological safety. So that people can bring their whole selves to work. They can take risks. They can appear vulnerable without being afraid. So like, that's not at all what I experienced in that organization I worked in, you know, like, I mean, I had an SVP steal my idea and present it as their own. And like, I called them out right when they did it. 'Cause I was like, that's funny. That's the exact same idea I just told. I mean, I was not having it. That was my assertiveness, you know, but like that kind of thing. Like you shut down the idea when I brought it to you and now you're presenting it like you just came up with it. It was so crazy.
So what is one of your favorite books that you like to read? It could be personal. It could be just for fun.
Wow. So this probably sounds like funny and expected because of India, but I loved Life of Pi. Like that was one of those books that I could not, like, I couldn't put it down. When I was done with it, I was like, oh my gosh, I need something else just like this. And so I read another book by Jan Martel, and I think I'm saying his name right, but it was even weirder. And so it was great. Like, I just like these like weird adventure books. So that, and then I loved Unbroken about Louise Zamperini, and that was fantastic. So those are 2 that I like could probably read again. And of course, Harry Potter, you know, love it.
I love Harry Potter. So what are some of your favorite biz tools, online apps? What do you use?
Yeah. So I am still deciding with some of them. Like, I know that people love Asana, but I'm using Trello because I just think it's like simple. I'm using the free version. So I just actually really embraced Trello a couple weekends ago where I was like, oh, it suddenly makes more sense to me.
Yeah.
And so I've used that one, but Slack is by far my favorite. I just love it because I think it encompasses the best of both worlds of email and instant messaging, because it is instant, just like texting or IMing or whatever, but it's also like pre-organized email. Like instead of sending an email, then filing it in a folder, you are choosing the channel it goes in and keeping everything there. It's just so organized and it's immediate. I just love it. So Slack is definitely my fave.
Now, how can everybody reach you? Everyone that's listening, how can they reach you? Because I know there's going to be some people who are going to be like, gosh, we need her. We need her
I
mind.
love that.
We need her intelligence. We need her guidance. So how can we reach you?
Yes. Okay. So I am on LinkedIn. So you can always follow me or link in with me there. Send me a message. Let me know that you actually heard this podcast. And I'm just Haley Grayless, MSOD, I think, on LinkedIn. You can email me, Haley, HALEY, at VAXA Collective. That's VAXA collective.com. And then look for my Facebook group. And so anybody's welcome to join that. And then feel free to check out the website, vaxacollective.com. Again, that's VAXA.
Awesome. Everything is going to be in the show notes anyways, along with
Great.
all your favorites and everything else that we have talked about. So I am just so happy that you were here with us today, sharing all of your journey and all of your knowledge. So thank you so much for being with us today.
Oh, thank you. This was great.